So, welcome everyone. My name is Genevieve Hodge. You might be able to tell by my accent, I'm Australian, but I actually live in Italy at the moment. My husband's Italian and we've got two little kids. We live in the beautiful, beautiful countryside of Emilia-Romagna. And I am going to be speaking of my journey as a IDG ambassador of the Kilimanjaro Cohort. And you'll see that logo. All of us that participated in the program are now able to put that little logo with our name, and that identifies which of the trainings we went to. And I'm sure they're all going to be different because there's different people that participate in each of the different trainings. So we were very lucky to have Eric Fernholm, Frederick Livheim, Pontus, Pamela Van Sabla, Selena Milstrom, and Christine Wamsler, sorry, she came in as a guest on the Zoom. So I'm going to be speaking about all these different things throughout the program. But first of all, I thought I'll just give a little background to anyone that's not really sure of what the IDGs are and the SDGs, okay? I'll be aiming to give about a 30-minute presentation, and then I hope that we can have time for a little breakout room and a little Q&A. Please keep yourself muted and any questions in the chat box. And my dear colleagues, Miriam or Larissa, please just help me out if I miss any questions that pop up, because I'm going to get deep into the zone now. Okay, so the thing that I think is really important to always bear in mind is, why are we here, and what is this moment in time telling us? And the thing, what is the whole purpose of the IDGs? Okay, so trying to sort of look back and think what is the information that we have, and they keep referring to this poly crisis, the meta crisis that's happening in the world. And what is that? That is, multiple, not just one, but multiple crises happening all around the world simultaneously, and it's unprecedented, and leaders around the world are struggling to try and deal with one, let alone all of these different things. And you can see here, I got this little diagram from the World Economic Forum. In the next 2 years, these are the top 10 issues that are going to be facing the world. And then in the next 10 years. Okay, so at the moment it's cost of living, natural disasters, geo-economic confrontation, failure to mitigate climate change, etc. And then it becomes, in 10 years, failure to mitigate climate change becomes number one, and failure to adapt to climate change and natural disasters from extreme weather. See, so that the next 10 years is critical. And so all of our facilitators and everyone, they all know all this, and they are teaching us this as well. Some of us know it, some of us are learning it. Everyone comes from a different background, a different knowledge base, so they have to sort of start at the beginning. And then the thing that for me was why, one of the main reasons I joined this inner development goals in the first place was when I heard about that they were connected to the sustainability development goals, because that was something that I was already very much promoting in my leadership programs. I'll tell you in a minute about that, but I didn't realize that we weren't on track. Okay, that was new information for me, and it came out in 17th of June that according to the United Nations, we are not on track to be meeting those sustainable development goals. And I was like, whoa, okay, wow, what's going on here, right? And then that's when I started to hear about inner development goals, and what I really am impressed with is that you might have noticed that the colors and the designs are very similar from the UN SDGs and the IDGs, and it's because they have the same designer. So Jacob Trollback from New Division is the same designer that was for the Sustainable Development Goals, and now also the Inner Development Goals. And now we also have found out that he's also part of the Biodiversity Plan, which is a whole new set of goals that we need to be working towards, and that's for another day. But so the IDGs came about because a whole, thousands of these top professors and psychologists and learned people from, top universities like Harvard were deeply concerned about the state of the world, and realized, that together with Eric and Frederick and all these Jan and all the founders of the IDGs realized that it's the inner development that is the issue that we need to be working with today. And Christine Wamsler, who is the one of the top sustainability scientists from the world, is one of the academic advisors to the IDGs. And so she actually came to present virtually at the training, at the ambassador training, and she gave us a lot of theory, which I'm slowly working my way through. But I will present my key takeaways. But again, they're just what I took away. I'm sure everyone's got a different takeaway from it. So basically, they say that the inner development is the root cause of the inner disconnection. Okay, and that is what I'll be talking about further on. Is this root cause of all this polycrisis is the inner disconnection. So there's so much to cover, and I'm so excited to be sharing this. But it's obviously the first time I am doing this, so please bear with me as I do my best to share with you what I've learned. All right, so. Okay, so a little bit about my history. So, why did I feel called to join all of this? Well, I have over 10 years experience as a leadership coach based on the social change model of leadership. So I've designed and run numerous programs for teenagers and university students that are based on the social change model of leadership development. And that means that that we are developing the inner resources of the young people. So we call it self-leadership. And then we work towards team leadership, so working together in order to create positive change in the community. And you can see how closely related that is to what the IDGs is all about as well. So I used to work at the Leaders Institute of South Australia, and I designed a program called the Youth Governors Leadership Foundation Program, which was approved by and endorsed by the governor herself to help develop the young people of South Australia. So, that's what I've come from. That's my sort of background before I came to Italy. And then when I moved to Italy, I thought, right, I want to continue on with leadership development, but I'm going to, because I'm going to be working from home and working online, I'd like to do something for aspiring leaders in organizations. And so I designed a leadership program called the Impactors Leadership Program, where when I found out about the IDGs, I decided to use it as a kind of experiment and see, right, what are these IDGs? Are they useful? Are they relevant for me? Can I use them? And the answer was yes. Okay, the answer was big yes, because the participants had a profound experience using the IDGs as a reflective tool in the program. And so I then spoke about that at the EMCC. If you don't know what that is, it's the European Mentoring Coaching Council. And I spoke about my experience of using the IDGs in a leadership program. And there was something like over 200 people registered for that. So I know that there is a big interest in this topic. And it was a fantastic experience, and something I'm definitely going to be running again. And hopefully we'll be able to incorporate it into universities and other organizations that are looking to develop aspiring leaders. And then I was like, right, this is definitely something useful. This is definitely something I want to learn more about. So that's when I signed up to the summit, and the summit was absolutely amazing. If you didn't go, wow, I highly recommend it for next year. I loved it. And that's where I started to get a feeling of these IDG people. They're so fun and inspiring, and they get straight to the point with all the topics of climate, that we're in an existential crisis, and all these huge big topics. I was just like, holy moly, like, these are my people. They know exactly what's going on, and they're here to help, but they're using the inner development for that purpose. And as a leadership coach, that's what I do as well. I was like, this is really highly relevant to the work I'm doing, and I really enjoy the people that I'm meeting. They're switched on, they're engaged, they're conscious, they're heart-centered, they want to make a difference. I was like, this is something really, really what I want to be part of more. And so then I applied for the ambassador program. And I only found out, at the event, that over 190 people from all over the world applied for the program, and they were only able to accept, I think, 20 for the first cohort and 20 for the second cohort. And wow, what a blessing and gift it was to be accepted into the program. And now I'm going to help you to feel your way into the kind of experience that we all felt, which was, in a word, magic. Okay, it was a magical experience of living. It really felt like living the IDGs. The whole environment, from the island to the facilitators and everything, meeting all the different ambassadors. And I've already asked permission from Gary, by the way, to use this quote, but I just absolutely love this quote that he likened the experience to. And he said, I likened the Inner Development Goals Ambassador Program to a welcoming, warm, and delightfully nourishing Swedish sauna to immerse yourself in and be transformed by, allowing the steam of the IDGs to have their way into your heart, mind, and soul, invigorating your participation in a global movement that both includes and transcends culture, while simultaneously informing and inspiring your compassionate engagement with a world on fire. And that was a quote by Gary Shaw, one of our fellow ambassadors. And I just love that description, because that's exactly how, you know, I would relate to this experience of the ambassador program. So as you know, it's held on the Eskaret Island and is run by the Eskaret Foundation, which was a very generous and beautiful gift by Thomas Bjorkman, who's one of the co-founders, to, you know, that personal development creates a more conscious society. Wow, you know, for me, this was just amazing to hear of such a initiative as this. And here we go. So there's the island on the top left-hand corner. It's a teeny tiny island. You can walk around it in, what, 30, 40 minutes maybe? But it's so picturesque because you're surrounded by water and other islands. It took us about 2.5 hours to get there from Stockholm, and we arrived by van, ferry, water taxi, and you can see there the beautiful, we were so lucky to have a sunrise as we were arriving into the island on that first day. And we were greeted by two elders who were they're volunteers of the Eskaret Foundation, and their job is to welcome and keep the integrity of the island by, you know, educating us about the purpose. And it was just such a gift to meet them and to be welcomed by them. And then the house on the island, as you can see, it was just beautifully decorated and designed with that kind of Scandinavian features, with, you know, and the Higa, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but the Higa theme, which is the cozy and warm and inviting. And there was always a warm fire and beautiful candles lit and gorgeous views of the outdoors. And it was just very warm and inviting. And there we are, you know, we sat in circles whenever we did community discussions and things, which was a really nice way to feel equal and everyone on the same level. And there were a number of very, very special facilitators like Pamela, who are experts at facilitating that psychological safety of the group. So, and she was able to sense whether there was tension, and then she would help us to hold the tension and ease our way into the tension and breathe. We did this deep breathing. Which I love, because it just makes you feel better every time you do it. So they lived and breathed the IDGs, and then we were learning how to also live and breathe the IDGs too, if you know what I mean. So it was a 3 full days from, you know, morning until night, 3 full days, and so trying to capture 36 hours of beautiful but intense experience into this 1 hour presentation has not been easy. So please excuse me if I'm going a bit fast, or if I don't explain anything very well. Please just feel free to either write it in the chat or email me afterwards, and I'll be very happy to have a chat with you afterwards. One thing that was very obvious was that Frederick Leifheim, who's the lead facilitator and a licensed psychologist, he has a background in trauma therapy. And so one thing that became very obvious to me is that, you know, we all have suffered trauma, some more than most, some more than others rather. And that is something that, you know, it isn't explicitly explained in the IDG framework or anything, but it is a big part of the growth, the inner growth that we all take responsibility for any trauma that we experience, have experienced in our life, in order to integrate it and hopefully not resolve it. I don't think you can ever fully resolve trauma, but hopefully not let it be a trigger for us going forward as in our lives. And so he was a big part of helping also create that psychological safety, I believe. We felt safe with each other because of that. Just checking. Yeah, so even though I think they originally aimed for 20 people, there was about in total, there was about 40 of us. So it was a very big group. And, maybe about 10 of those were facilitators and staff. But then there was the 30 of us that were the ambassadors. And that included some of the IDG staff themselves, which was really special to be able to be learning and growing with actual people that work for the IDGs. And so we were gently nudged to challenge ourselves, step out of our comfort zone and into our growth zone for that positive change within us to happen. So there's a beautiful photo of Gonzalo and Philip, who were the organizers of the ambassador program, and they did so much work behind the scenes to make sure that we were all there on time and that we were all prepared, and that it was a very diverse group of people. There were more women than men, and I think that's just a trend that they noticed, that there seems to be more women applying for the ambassador program. So, and also we noticed that there was probably not as diverse as a cohort as it could have been and will be in the future, which it means, people from the African nations, Asian nations, those kinds of things maybe require sort of scholarship or sponsorship going forward to be able to participate, because it can be an expensive experience, to get there and all of that. But certainly one that I believe was well worth the expense. And you could just see, just meeting these people in such a beautiful environment. It was just so good for the soul, and helped to feel like we could achieve something very important in this place. There were people from, Brazil, Argentina, British Columbia, New Zealand, Australia, such a rich, diverse group of people from different professions and backgrounds and expertise. So you can imagine how rich the experience was, just meeting all these people and all the breaks, being able to converse and learn and share ideas and make sense of this experience. And I constantly had to pinch myself, like, this is real, this is real. It really felt like something that I want to continue on, because I just loved how it felt, like I'd come home. That's how it felt to be with people that care so much, like I do, but also, are action takers, and we're going to do good work in this world. Now let's get into the hard stuff, not the hard stuff, the meaty stuff. So Eric Fernholm obviously is one of the, he's a very good speaker, and very, very passionate and clever at articulating ideas. And wow, if you just read these slides, so that top left-hand corner is one of the most impactful images you can see of how society has been, created. What's the fastest way to win? Care less and sacrifice more. Now, it actually, when he breaks it down, you can absolutely see this in society, and that's where, he's constantly examining, where have we gone wrong as a society, as a global society? Where have we gone wrong? Why have we gotten to this point? And then I really was impressed by this slide with the global goals, and he crossed it out and wrote symptoms. They are symptoms of this society where we are sick, where this society is sick, and the way we are solving problems is the problem, because of, lack of understanding of how to deal with the polycrisis, and lack of knowledge in how to adopt the adaptive leadership frameworks that are going to be necessary for coping with all of this complex chaos that we've got to deal with. And he shared a lot of information, so I'm really simplifying it down here, but it's the only way I can sort of make sense of it is and to say he and also Frederick were showing how youth globally think that humanity is doomed, 56%, which is, really worrying. And for me, especially, that's the work that I want to do, is how can we build hope with our youth? How can we help prepare them and build the resilience within them to be prepared for the future? So that was, Eric is the founder of 29K. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it. And he's the co-founder of the IDGs, and he's very, very good at helping us see the problems because he's got a background in cognitive neuroscience, and he's able to help get it deep within your pores, and so you feel the problems, but also it helps to lay the foundations of, okay, right, these are the problems. Now, where can we go with this? And he also was able to share the theory of change, which informs the IDGs, and gives the mission, which is or envisioned rather, a world where inner development is unlocking our power to build a flourishing future for the people and planet. So we then heard from Frederick Liefheim, who is a psychologist, and he is the lead facilitator of the Ambassador Program. Now, he also presented a lot of slides, okay, a lot of information to give us background theory of the behavioral problems that exist in human beings, and that and he is a trauma therapist, so he's an expert in ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, and he's written books, and so there's a lot on all of that, and you get provided this information. Okay, so I'm not going to be here going through all the theory, but I'm just highlighting some of the key things for me that were really impactful. And so he shared this you can see that I'm quite a visual person because I like the diagrams, and he showed this diagram of the tree and the root cause of the issues that we see, like climate change and war and conflict and all of those, are disconnection from self, disconnection from each other, and disconnection from the planet. So if we simplify, everything down, this is the main issue at heart. And it was written on a slide there and on a butcher's paper, and I kept referring to it over and over again. So this for me is like, right, okay, this is where we start, and then using the IDGs, we're then able to become more connected to ourselves, become more connected to each other, and become more connected to the planet. And that word planet was interchanged with the word nature, with the word earth. It's the mother earth and mother nature. We need to be connected, and being on that island, you really felt like you were connected. Like I felt connected to the trees and the water and the air, and you could just feel like we were all part of this living organism, which is suffering. And it just made me feel like, yeah, I really have to do something about this. And hopefully with this connection to self and others through the IDGs, we will then start to create this flourishing world that we're all longing for. Okay, and so that was really obvious. Now, Christine Wamsler, wow, just trying to go through her slides and her theories and her knowledge, I could spend months, years, just trying to understand. This is her work. This is her baby. This is her thing. She is one of the top scientists in the world for sustainability. And she is, I think, one of the key players that has linked sustainability with sustainability studies, rather, with the inner self. And so that's why she's such a key player with her work with the IDGs. And she is the academic advisor to the IDGs, and she provides a lot of different theories and information. So I've just sort of taken this is 4 of the top frameworks that her and her team have come up with, and again, I'm not going to go into them because it's very theoretical, and I would not do it justice. But just to bring your attention to the background theory that underlines everything that we're talking about, and that gives it gravitas, because if you don't understand that it comes from all this scientific background research, you might just think, inner development, of course we need to do it. But no, it's imperative. Like if we don't do the inner work, the outer will not change, and that's the key link right there. And so this quote that she's written: the threats and crises we are facing are a reflection of an inner human crisis, separation from self, others, nature as an integral element of modern life. Our inner dimensions, defined as our inner and collective beliefs, values, worldviews, and associated inner capacities and skills, are deep leverage points for change. They are complementary ways to address the inner dimensions across individual, collective, and system levels in an integrated way. So, imagine trying to combine all of this together. It's not easy, but they've created some fantastic frameworks, and the education tree for integrated inner and outer transformation, I think, she said, is one of the key frameworks that sort of integrates all of that. So if you want to find out more, I will be sending links with this as well. Okay, sorry, moving right along. So part of the fun of the island was catching up and working with these amazing humans, and one of the tasks we were given was to, in these groups, was to bring the IDGs to life with tools and resources and activities. And so you've got this group. I was in a thinking group, and there were 7 of us. And gosh, it was really interesting to hear everyone's different perspectives on how we can bring thinking to life, and what kind of tools to refer to as practitioners out in the field. And this list, it doesn't end. Like I've continued on with it, and I've now created a resource that I will be using in programs going forward, because that's what we all of us ambassadors, or I'm sure many of us ambassadors, want to do. We want to bring the IDGs to the world, and how can we do that in our work as facilitators and trainers and coaches and things like that. So that was really great fun. We had a lot of fun doing this, and there was one of the groups was being, and they were relating, and they were sort of doing different theatrical movements together to imitate different feelings. And there's so many different ways to bring this work to life, and we all want to just keep sharing ideas and ideas and ideas. And another really special component of the program is that they put us in smaller pods. They call them pods, where of 5 people, and we were divided based on age. I think, Miriam, was it that we were divided on age and male and female ratios? So
yes, it was part of it.
Yeah,
age, but also left, right. Yeah,
it was great, because now I've got this group of 4 other ambassadors that we keep each other we keep together. We keep the learnings alive. We're going to meet every month. We're going to share what we're learning and share ideas and be a support to one another going forward. So that is actually, there are so many elements to what made this program so special, but obviously the human being aspect and the connections is a big part of that. And the ongoing, we have a WhatsApp group, and we're always sharing ideas and tools and resources and references and things. So that ongoing feeling of being part of something is really important. And Eric said in one of his what he longs for is a world that is connected to community of practice. And I didn't really know what that meant, but now I do. It's this we are now a community of practice. We're a community of people that want to work together in different ways, and that for me is just magic. Now I can see exactly what that is now, and I definitely am very, very pleased and value that as one of the key parts of becoming an ambassador. Here you can see this was some of the, so they did talk about some of the tools from the IDGs as being endorsed by the IDGs, and that others that will be informed or inspired by. Okay, so we as practitioners, we can't go around just using any activity and saying, yes, this is an IDG activity. It's not endorsed, maybe, because it might not have the theoretical underpinnings that give it the credibility that it deserves. However, there were some activities that were definitely endorsed by the IDGs and are part of an app that they've now created called the Aware app in working with 29K, and a heap of psychologists have now created this app that brings the IDGs to life with activities that you can download and use in your day-to-day and also in small group work. And one activity that Frederick ran with us, which for me was quite powerful, and it's something I do with clients often in my work, but not necessarily to myself, and that was the inner critic. So I'm not sure if you have done any inner critic work recently, but I do recommend it, because we all have that inner critic within us, and it keeps us small, it keeps us hiding, it keeps us feeling like we can't share the best of us, because we might be doubting our abilities or lacking confidence or whatever. And he shared a very powerful movie that they have created with a director who won an award called The Mirrors. And it's a very powerful movie that they recommend you show and then do the inner critic activity, which, it was very powerful, wasn't it, Miriam? Like, it was just like, oh yeah, we all of us, from politicians to athletes to celebrities, everyone has an inner critic, and that's part of being human. And I think that's what we all need to keep remembering, is these inner IDG skills are relevant to everyone on earth, because we all are have these parts of us that that, and they clearly are skills and capacity that we can improve. So they don't stay still. You know, I might be very present with you right now, but when I'm, you know, a bit later on, I might be very tired and I might not be as present with my kids as I want to be, for example. So we constantly have this sort of flow up and down of each of these 23 skills and capacities that we can, if we pay attention to, we can hopefully and develop upon, we can grow them and try and bring the best of ourselves in each situation. So just keep an eye on the time. Sorry, guys. Wow, time's flying. Okay, so my role as an ambassador now is that I go forward to advocate for the role of inner development for, you know, universities and schools, and I'm currently designing some workshops for it was an agency with the Australian government, and they invited me to produce 2 workshops that are going to be rolled out across Australia for girl leadership in high schools, and I'm using the IDGs in that. So, you know, this is the kind of work that they want us to bring the IDGs into wherever we are and into communities, and because once it starts to be, I don't want to use infiltrate because I've got a negative connotation with infiltrate, but once it starts to be absorbed into society, we can all start to collectively grow, and that is what we are aiming for. We want to promote that everywhere, in organizations and in community groups and schools and everywhere. So in order to continue this also, next year I'm going to launch a podcast, which should be a lot of fun, and I'm going to be inviting the ambassadors to come on as guests, and I'll be inviting them to tell their story of the inner development goals and how they got involved, and any really impactful stories of impact that they are doing in their work, in their communities and society, to help give us all a bit of hope and build the co-creation that you know, that we can bring to the world. So if there's any types of activities that you would like to, you know, co-create with me, feel free to contact me afterwards, and I'd love to chat. I'm going to open it up for a Q&A in a minute, but I thought I'll just sort of finish with these little quotes here. So this is Gustav Speth, James Gustav Speth, who said, and this was shared by Christine Wansler on the island, I used to think the top global environment problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And to deal with these, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. And we scientists don't know how to do that. And so that's, you know, this is, it, for me, it's pivotal. The time is now, everyone. We really need to be doing our best to combat the selfishness, greed, and apathy in the world. And as Eric says, the world doesn't have a sustainability problem, it has a behavioral problem. And, you know, there is this famous quote by Margaret Mead, but it just, after this weekend with all of these amazing ambassadors, it just truly feels so right. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing it ever has. And you can see that with Eric and all the, you know, Jan and all these IDG founders. They started small and they have grown, and now it's become this movement. And it really is, you know, it's not difficult to learn these and apply these. You can make it fun. You know, we all want to have fun with it. And you know, I've now created like a handbook that I'm going to use in my training programs. It's easy to apply and it's fun, and you know, that's all we can ask for at this moment, is to just work together, bring this alive, and let's make the world a better place.